Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this special pre-World AIDS Day program. My name is Chitachi Egwu. I am a member of South Broward. Oh, excuse me, we had a little bit of noise there. I am a member of the South Broward Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We actually service the southern end of the county from the ocean to the Everglades. And I am so pleased to welcome our special guest. In honor of World AIDS Day, we decided we wanted to speak to some people who had some great information on the state of HIV and AIDS in Broward County, in Florida, and in the country in general. And so we are going to be speaking today with our distinguished panel from the Department of Health, Broward County. So let's get rolling, shall we, ladies? How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having us, and we're so happy to have you. If we could, we're going to start it off with Crystal, who's going to give us a brief statement about World AIDS Day.
Yes. World AIDS Day is celebrated on December 1st each year around the world since 1988. This day provides an opportunity to address HIV and AIDS disparities, HIV-related stigma, blame, and spark dialogue about stopping the spread of HIV and AIDS among all populations. The red ribbon is the global symbol for solidarity with HIV-positive people and those living with AIDS, and is dedicated to raising awareness of the AIDS pandemic caused by the spread of HIV infection. The observance of World AIDS Day has become one of the most recognized health awareness days worldwide. It provides a key opportunity to raise awareness, commemorate those who have passed on, and celebrate victories such as increased access to treatment and prevention services. This year's 27th federal theme is transparency, accountability, and partnership.
Wonderful. Well, I am very happy to have you here once again. And I forgot to say, besides thanking you all from the Department of Health, Broward County, I'm not the one running all the graphics and the wonderful things that you see going on. That is our fabulous partner for this, Curtis Brooks Media Productions. Curtis is amazing and a whiz with technology. So Curtis Brooks and Curtis Brooks Media Productions, we thank you for your service on this special event. Okay, so without any further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started. We have a brief video that's actually was produced by you all at the Department of Health, Broward County last year, and it sets the stage a little bit for this year and what's happening now. So if, Curtis, we could have the video, we'd be very appreciative.
Hi, I'm Dr. Celeste Phillip, State Surgeon General and Secretary of the Florida Department of Health. Today is World AIDS Day, and this year's theme is about eliminating HIV stigma. HIV is not a thing of the past, but it's also not a death sentence as it was 20 years ago. One of our top priorities is to prevent HIV transmission in our state, with the goal to reduce the number of newly diagnosed infections in Florida by 2% annually. While we strive to prevent new cases of HIV, we also acknowledge that thanks to advances in medicine, we've shifted away from HIV being an infectious disease to a chronic disease. This shifts the discussion in the way we partner with the communities we serve. We also know that there are certain groups who are disproportionately affected and that they may have different needs and ideas of how to achieve their goals. At the department, we're focusing on how we engage these communities to ensure we are communicating in meaningful and culturally appropriate ways. So I ask you all to join us as we join the world today to make HIV stigma a thing of the past by participating in the Not Retro, Just Wrong campaign.
Okay, so that sets a little bit of the stage for what we're going to talk about today, but of course, we're going to talk well beyond that. Again, let me introduce myself if you don't know who I am. My name is Dr. Chitachi Egwu. I am a member of the South Broward Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, and you can see my name floating across the bottom of the screen. And we actually, let me tell you all this, we actually will have an opportunity. So if any of you on YouTube, because yes, we are simulcasting. We are live right now on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. So if anybody from YouTube or from Facebook has a question, be sure to type them into the comments, and I will definitely be sure to ask. Or even if you just want to lend a comment, please do that. I will be sure to relay it to our distinguished panelists. So let me talk about who these distinguished panelists are before we get into our line of questioning. And starting from the left, we have Crystal Mobley, who is the Minority AIDS Coordinator. We have Janelle Tavares, who is the HIV Program Evaluator. We have Rania Mills, who is the Early Intervention Consultant. And we also have Rania Mills, who is the early intervention consultant. We just had this whole discussion, and I called her Rania. It's Rania. Rania Mills, the early intervention consultant, and Sonia Richards, who is program manager, test and treat. Once again, welcome, ladies. And so let's get into it, because we only have half an hour. So I want the audience to get as much out of this half hour as possible. So Janelle, this is actually a question for you. Could you talk a little bit about the statistics of HIV/AIDS in Broward County in the US, and probably Florida if you have that information? We'd be interested to know.
Sure. And so as a prelude to what I'm going to say, because there's so much information that we could discuss as far as the statistics, this information can be found at floridahealthcharts.com. That's flhealthcharts.com. You can go in there. It's publicly accessible information. You can tweak the data. You can look at all types of indicators. You can look at HIV. You can look at all the communicable diseases, the STDs. You can look at Florida as a whole and county by county comparison. So again, that's flhealthcharts.com. And if you want national statistics, the best website is cdc.gov. Type in the keyword HIV, and there's tons of information, fact sheets, tons of printable information that you can take and use, and very informative and very well put together. And so there were some slides that are best to explain some of this information. I think a picture is worth 1,000 numbers in this case. And so if you go to slide number 2, on slide number 2, we see the state of Florida, and we see various shades of teal. So this is showing us our HIV infection case rates. So the reason we use rates versus numbers of cases is so we can make comparisons. And so looking at the state, you're going to see the darker shades around our metropolitan areas like Orlando, Tampa, of course, South Florida is there because we have 2 large cities, which are the epicenter of the epidemic in the U.S., which is Miami-Dade and Broward. Also, Duval County, which is south of St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Florida. And so our top 3 counties in Florida are Miami-Dade, of course, is number 1. That's our sister county to the south. The rate's 46.8 per 100,000. And then Broward is number 2, 41.4 per 100,000. Then we have Orange County, number 3, 35.6 per 100,000. And Orange County is Orlando. And all these are higher than the Florida rate.
I'm sorry. I wanted to interrupt you for a moment because it seems extraordinarily high in Broward, Miami-Dade, and what you said, was it Duval was the next highest one?
Duval's Jacksonville, but the third one is Orange, which is Orlando. And so you see the darker shades, Orlando, Hillsborough County, which is Tampa, and Duval. So you see the HIV epidemic in metropolitan areas more than you see them in rural areas.
Okay. Well, is there a reason why, besides there just being so populous?
Well, that's part of the issue, is that with more people, you have more potential for interactions, social network crossing over, and just the potential for, exchange of viruses just more. That's kind of the risk factor is really where you live. So it's not so much what you do, but it's who you do it with and where you live that puts you at risk. So just in the context of living in South Florida, you're going to be more at risk for the acquisition of HIV than if you were in some other, rural part of Florida or part of the U.S.
Okay.
So that's why it's so important to us. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure. And moving to the next slide, which is number 3. Again, we have a comparison here with Florida and with Broward. And again, it's HIV cases through 1997 until 2016. So all this information is through 2016. And we can see a downward decline in HIV infection case rates over time, which is good. That means that the epidemic, there's a response to the work that we do.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much for those.
Sure. And so I just want to bring some attention back to number 3.
Okay.
Right. So with Broward, which is the black line at the top compared to Florida, we do see higher rates overall from the beginning. So even though there's downward trends for both, Broward has always been higher than the state of Florida. And then we see an upward incline in rates from 2015 to 2016. Very important.
Wow. And have we seen anything different in 2017, or is it too early yet to know those numbers?
Yeah, it's way too early to know.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to receive the cases, clean them. It's a whole process. We'll be able to have some more information probably by mid-year. 2018 will be having those 2017 numbers.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that information and those charts that actually bring the numbers and the statistics to life. What I want to do is kind of move forward towards looking at African-American women and their infection rates. Crystal, can you give us a little bit of insight in terms of not only their infection rates, but since we talked 2 years ago, we actually did this 2 years ago, what have been the changes in terms of rates of infection in African-American women, etc.?
Yes, women have been affected by HIV and AIDS since the very beginning of this epidemic. Women of color, predominantly Black women, have been especially impacted. In South Florida, Black women are disproportionately affected by HIV in comparison to their other female counterparts. Women with and at risk for HIV faces several challenges to getting services and information that they need, including socioeconomic and structural barriers such as poverty, cultural inequities, sexual violence, and women may place the needs of their family prior to placing, the needs of themselves and taking care of their own selves. Thus, the Department of Health has redoubled its commitment and mobilized its resources to address this disproportionate impact that we have regarding HIV and AIDS on minority communities. Despite this impact, there are promising new signs, like the data that Janelle just shared indicates that HIV infections are now falling, and especially falling among women, including among Black women, although they continue to rise among gay men. Still addressing the epidemic's impact on women in Broward County and in the U.S. as well, particularly women of color, remains critical to ensuring that these encouraging trends continue in the next coming years.
Absolutely. I do want to go back. You mentioned that the rates continue to rise amongst gay men. Is there a specific factor or reason that is happening? Though I know that's not what we're necessarily talking about, but I'm interested in that fact.
A lot of times it's just the population. It's the sex within the population. It's just the total risk factors that affect that population as a whole. And it's the same. It's just about getting tested and knowing your status. And that's why all of our campaign materials are targeting, Black women. It's targeting, gay men, because we want everyone to know their status in order to get ahead of the curve on this epidemic.
Yeah. And I would add to that anal sex can be a more at-risk behavior than vaginal sex. And so that can increase the risk of acquisition of HIV.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Rania. And actually, we're going to come to you next because I do have a question. But before we get to that, I want to take this break midway to say welcome to everybody who's watching on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. This is a program put on by the South Broward Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I am your host for this evening. My name is Dr. Chitachi Egwu. I'm a member of the South Broward Alumnae chapter. We are joined today by our distinguished guests from the Department of Health, Broward County, as we explore what's happening in the world of HIV/AIDS in Broward County, in Florida, and in the country. And if you are a member of the South Broward Alumnae chapter and you are watching, guess what? This counts as an event for you that you've attended. But you have to have the password, and I am going to say it now. Your code word is red ribbon. I will probably repeat this at the end again, but your code word is red ribbon in honor of World AIDS Day, which is actually tomorrow. December 1st is World AIDS Day. This is a pre-World AIDS Day program. So just had to get that little bit of housekeeping out of the way, ladies. So let me go to Rania now. And I want you to talk about some of the risk factors. And even though these are things that we think, oh, everybody knows about it, not really, because it's not in the media as much as it used to be years ago. And from what I see, some people think that HIV/AIDS is not really a problem anymore, though it's probably not the death sentence it was years ago. It's still an issue. So can you talk about some of the risk factors of HIV/AIDS?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important what you said. HIV is a chronically managed disease. And so it is not the death sentence that it was perceived to be previously and years before. There's stigma in the community about contracting HIV. Majority of the risk that is involved in contracting HIV is coming into contact with someone who is HIV positive. And so transmittable body fluids such as vaginal secretions, semen, rectal secretions, breast milk, those are things, including blood, that can transmit the virus. But in hearing those things, you have to be mindful that HIV isn't transmitted by common contact, such as kissing someone, sharing food, even getting bit by a mosquito or an animal. It doesn't contract HIV that way because HIV is a virus that is specific to humans. And so in order to reduce your risk of contracting HIV, you want to make sure that if you're sexually active, that you have a barrier between yourself and your partner. If your partner is HIV positive, they're taking their medications, their antiretrovirals, to reduce the virus in their system, which will reduce the ability for them to pass the virus on to you. You can also, we're going to talk a little bit later about pre-exposure prophylaxis. It is a biomedical intervention that prevents the HIV from attaching to your cells. And then you can also, if you're someone who's engaged in needle sharing, you can reduce either the number of partners you share needles with and or make sure that you clean the needles that you're using.
Those are all excellent, excellent tips. Let me ask this though, Rania. How do you have that difficult conversation? Because it is a difficult conversation to have when you're talking about getting intimate with someone and using protection. How do you start the conversations? Especially for younger people who may not understand exactly how to go about doing it. And not just younger people, but people in general. How do you start the conversation?
So there was a CDC campaign. I can't remember if it was last year. I want to say it was 2 years ago it came out the last time we had this conversation. It's called Start Talking, Stop HIV. And they actually have conversation starters there. So they help you be able to engage in that conversation, because just like relationships are unique, the conversation is going to be unique to who you're speaking to and the context of your relationship. So going back to that CDC website, looking at Start Talking, Stop HIV, and going through those conversation starters, we've used them in our program to educate other people. A great place to start.
Right. Oh, that's awesome information. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that was actually Janelle. Thank you, Janelle. And I asked for Nia, but thank you, Janelle, for that.
We can work.
It's all right. It's all right. You ladies are doing an excellent job, and this is such important information. And I just hope, for those of you that are watching in YouTube land and Facebook Live land, in this last 10 minutes that we have, I ask you, share it out. Share it with your friends, share it with family members, because this is important information. So please, and you guys know I rarely ask people to share things, but I'm asking you to share this because this is really important information. Okay, so moving over to Sonia. Sonia, can you talk a little bit about treatment and cofactors? I know this is your thing, so would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
You mean the treatment for the HIV infection, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
So that's the test and treat. And its treatment, the patient would go to any CBO, a doctor, a hospital, and they would call us. Or even the patient can call us themselves and say, I was a previous positive and I'm looking to get into care because I've had a break in my care. Or somebody else would call us, a hospital per se, say, we have a patient here who's a new positive. Can you get them into care? Once we receive that phone call, we have anywhere from 24 to 72 hours from the call to get that patient into care, linked to a doctor, an infectious disease doctor, medicines in hand, appointment set up, their follow-up appointment, ADAP taken care of, and the Ryan White taken care of. If they have insurance, we will find a doctor or facility that will accept their insurance, and we'll take them there, do the same thing. We generally have this done in 48 hours. From the moment they find out they're positive, it's a new positive, within 48 hours, somebody on my team will have them with medicine in hand and a plan.
Wow, 48 hours, that's great, that's great. So Janelle, I'm coming back to you, and whoever else can answer this. I'm really interested in perinatal, and I'm sure the viewers are interested because somebody actually in the Facebook Live chat mentioned, Chanel Williams said, yes, children are highly infected. So I'm sure we'd love to know a little bit more about perinatal HIV and also prevention options. And you talked a little bit about PrEP, but I'd love you to go farther into that, what it means. So perinatal, and then talking about prevention in terms of PrEP, etc.
Okay, so I can start with the perinatal piece and someone else can end with the PrEP piece. But, you know, perinatal is one of the areas of success in HIV. And it's due to the medication. So in part, what Sonia was saying, you know, before people didn't have access to medications like they do now, which is why it's not a death sentence anymore. You can live a long time with your medication. So with perinatal, now you can be an HIV positive person, an HIV positive mother, and you can have an HIV negative baby. And you can reduce that risk to almost nil by taking your medications, being in care, attending all of your appointments, and just being adherent to your medications, which is awesome. It's, you know, like I said, one of the biggest successes when it comes to HIV.
Fantastic, fantastic. And then the other end of it in terms of PrEP. A lot of people don't understand what that is. We hear it. In fact, because World AIDS Day is tomorrow, we've been seeing probably slightly more ads for these types of things. I know I noticed it, and obviously it's because of World AIDS Day. So what is PrEP?
PrEP is a comprehensive HIV prevention strategy that involves the daily use of an antiretroviral medication to reduce the risk of HIV infection in HIV negative individuals. This has been out since July 2012, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved Truvada, which is used for PrEP in HIV prevention in sexually active HIV negative individuals. We're stressing negative because PrEP is utilized for HIV negative individuals. PrEP should also be used in conjunction with other prevention methods to reduce the risk of infection, such as condoms.
Fantastic. So what would you say what is the percentage of effectiveness for PrEP in terms of not contracting HIV?
So the percentage for PrEP is pretty much 98.999%. And it's if you take the medication as prescribed daily. And so it's kind of not like, birth control, you miss one, you double up. Mm-hmm. It has to be taken as the regimen is prescribed every single day in order for it to maintain the medicine inside of your body to prevent infection.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. So just to piggyback off of that, if this is they're so effective in terms of the prevention, and of course, you can't have HIV already for this to work, correct? This is for non-infected individuals.
Correct.
How close are they to a cure? I mean, I know this is the question that is asked all the time. Do you all have any information on how close we are to a cure?
They've had functional cures, so they say, but not anytime soon. What's coming down the pike is other forms of PrEP, because right now it's just a pill. Mm-hmm. Truvada is the only medication approved for PrEP, but they're looking at long-term injectables. They're looking at vaginal rings, similar to the NuvaRing, and different forms of taking PrEP that would increase that adherence. Going to what Rania said, and also back to what Sonia said, adherence is the key for treatment. Adherence is the key for PrEP. Right. That's why we stress adherence, because even though, science, every day there is new scientific breakthroughs. However, we know that there is no cure. So that's why we have innovative plans and programs such as Test and Treat to make sure that people are adhering to treatment. So that's what we are right now, is making sure and ensuring that everyone who is positive is staying to their treatment plan, and those that are negative who meet the qualifications and who serve as a good candidate for PrEP, get on PrEP if that's what they choose to do.
I mean, this is really important. I'm sorry, I was just wanting to mention that this is really important, and that the Florida Department of Health in Broward County, along with the State Health Office, is really committed to making sure that these initiatives are being addressed. We've got individual teams that are PrEP navigators to help people be able to understand PrEP and other biomedical interventions for themselves, and they may be in a zero-discordant relationship. And so we've got navigators to help people specifically with that. We have navigators to help people who are HIV positive be more comfortable about remaining adherent, getting into the care and services that they needed, not just for their medication, but also ancillary services such as housing and things such as that. So our programs are really tailored to meet the needs of the client. And, we want to make sure that everyone knows that Broward County is dedicated to doing that.
And also that we do all this with no fee. There is no fee. Mm-hmm. The medicines are free. The housing, all the help is free.
Yes.
There's no cost to the patient.
Right. Which will lead us to get more information on all of these services and everything that we're talking about, and our wonderful PrEP team who are navigating clients in our county to ensure that they receive the services that they need. You can visit our website, browardgreaterthan.org, and it will link you directly to someone on that PrEP team. It will link you to our program, and we will definitely link you to the services that you need. Mm-hmm.
Wow, you beat me to the punch, because I was going to ask you for those resources. I will ask you to repeat those later on. Now, we're just about out of time, but we do have we have a lot of activity in the room on Facebook Live. Kelly Allen is giving hearts. Wanda MC says, educate and empower. Terry Maxwell has joined. Thank you for being here, Sora Maxwell. Collis Bell has a question on Facebook Live. She asked, are the medications priced for the average income person, and are they easy to access today?
Can you clarify what medications?
So
for the treatment or for PrEP?
I'm thinking she's talking about the treatment, not PrEP. But you could talk about both. If the medications for both, what the price range is, and are they easily accessible for the average person?
After what I was saying, the medication for the HIV positive patient, there's no cost once we get involved. We take care of everything. And if they have insurance and the insurance has a copay, we have copay cards that we will give to the patient to pay for their share of the medication.
And it's the same thing with PrEP. There are various programs that if you are a candidate for PrEP and you have insurance or don't have insurance, that's where our PrEP navigators come in. They help you navigate through that process. So there are co-pay coupon cards available from various companies. There are CBOs in our county that will assist with the testing component that is needed. So it's assistance out there. You just have to reach into one of us so that we can help navigate you through this process.
Fantastic. So essentially, you don't have to go it alone, and there is help out there.
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, this is awesome. We are just like really out of time. But what I'd like you to do again, if you could please give how people could reach you on the web and on social, and maybe a phone number, that would be so great.
Yes, the first website that we will give you, again, is our browardgreaterthan.org. browardgreaterthan.org. That's our local Department of Health in Broward County website for our HIV prevention program. We have local resources. We have our condom locator where you can get free condoms around our county. And there is also a testing locator on there where you can put in your zip code and it tells you the nearest testing site that you can get free HIV and STD testing around the county. So browardgreaterthan.org. We also have our state of Florida website, which is www.knowyourhivstatus.com. It lists events around the entire state of Florida regarding awareness days or just events on a Saturday that a county Department of Health HIV program may be co-sponsoring or sponsoring. So that's www.knowyourhivstatus.com. And do you want to add any additional websites?
Well, I wanted to add a phone number.
Okay.
In order to get information about testing, you can dial 1-800-FLA-8, and it will connect you with the nearest free HIV testing site within your county. And so you can dial that number in order to get HIV testing as well.
And if you would like to reach our program directly, you can give us a call at 954-467-4700, extension 4991.
Fantastic. That's a wealth of information. And definitely, please, if you have any questions, have friends that have questions or family members, please visit any one of those websites for more information. The flyer, Curtis, could you put that flyer back up, the South Broward Community Health Services, please? The South Broward Community Health Services has testing coming up tomorrow. And I'm going to ask you all, because you have testing tomorrow too, but they have testing coming up tomorrow for World AIDS Day. There are several different sites that you can go to, as you can see the flyer that is on the screen now. Hollywood, Hallandale, East Hollywood, Dania, East Miramar, West Miramar, and Pembroke Pines. And for more information, you can call 954-276-5500 or visit sbchs.net for more information. And could you ladies, I know you said you're doing something, for Light Up Cis Trunk, right?
Yes, correct. A work group of our Broward County HIV Prevention Planning Council, BTAN, is co-hosting the Light Up Cis Trunk event this year and will be sponsoring the Winter Wonderland Toy Drive and also the Health and Resource Fair. So we will be on Cis Trunk Boulevard in Broward County between Northwest 9th Avenue and Northwest 11th Avenue. We have partners that will be handing out toys to the kids. We will have different resources available out there. Someone from housing, someone from our program will be out there, WIC and Kid Care. So a lot of resources, free resources available to the community will be at this event. And we also will have HIV and STD testing. So stop by, light up Sis Trunk, and we'll be glad to meet you.
Fantastic, which is right on historic Sistrunk Boulevard, which is also Northwest 6th Avenue, I believe is the actual number of the street. So right here in Fort Lauderdale. So you can be in central Fort Lauderdale or the southern end of the county and get some testing done. I would really love to thank you ladies because you were amazing. This is our second year doing it together. We did it 2 years ago and we're back again and you're back at it. So I really appreciate you ladies being here. We appreciate you ladies being here. Once again, these are the ladies from the Department of Health, Broward County, and they've been so informative. I can't wait to do this hopefully again with you the next year. And so also the South Broward Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated are happy that you joined us. This was put on by the sorority, obviously, but two committees actually were instrumental in putting this on. Bridget Bain is the chair of the Physical and Mental Health. So this is a program of Physical and the Mental Health Committee, and also with help from the Information and Technology Committee. So the two committees together, we've done this. I'm on Info and Tech, so I'm here and president accounted for Information and Technology. And of course, how can I forget my dear brother, Curtis Brooks from Curtis Brooks Media Productions, who did all the lower thirds and the titles and this wonderful background that you're seeing. I could act like it's me, but it's not me, it's Curtis. So, Curtis, thank you so very much. And once again, my name is Dr. Chitachi Egwu, member of the South Broward Alumni Chapter and member of the Information and Technology Committee. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to visit any of the websites that were mentioned today. You can follow us on social as well. We're everywhere. Basically, just look up South Broward DST, South Broward Alumni Chapter, and it pops right up. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're everywhere, and we are everything. So with that, I would really, really love to thank you all once again, YouTube family and Facebook Live Massive. Thank you for being here. And I bid you all a good night, and we'll see you next year. Cheers.